Zar used to do this thing when we first started, not when we first started dating, but when we were dating later on in life after college and stuff like that, where she would just be like, I don't like her. I don't like him. And I would be like, why? What happened?
Was I ever wrong?
You were.
I was never.
That's not true.
Wrong.
That's not true.
I was never wrong.
That's not true. But
you won't mention Sharon.
We can debate this.
But
Sharon is one of them. You mentioned her. I didn't mention her.
One of my besties. I love Sharon Dan.
But I don't want to go into this.
But she would say that too.
They're best friends now. They're like best friends.
She would say that too.
My point is.
That's my baby. Hey, boo.
My point is, she would say this, and I would be like, I need to, like, you have to tell me.
But I could be wrong. I could be wrong once. But
anyway,
I'm 80%. Hey my loves, welcome back to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us again. I'm your girl Intisar Eleanor. I'm back with my husband Joseph Conner, and we're here to chat Love is Blind UK Season 1 reunion.
Yeah.
I'm actually super excited about this. We have a lot going on this week, guys, so we're trying to get this one out because we're trying to keep up and keep consistent as best we can. We're going on vacation with the family. I'm super excited, but I'm beat down. I got no sleep last night. You know what I was thinking? I should not make my own drinks. I'm a little too heavy-handed. I went to bed wasted. I had 2 drinks, like little, and it wasn't even a big cup.
Well, yeah, you're not the mixologist, the bartender of the house at all. So
I'm not. I'm just doing a little Tangeray and tonic. That's it. But yeah, so we're back. We're talking all things Married at First Sight. Married at First Sight. Love is Blind, y'all. Let me tell y'all what my husband did today. I come in the house. I tell Joe. He comes downstairs. He was upstairs. I was downstairs. I came in the house from running errands. I put his coffee on his desk. We usually go on a coffee run together. Today, I went and picked our coffees up. I put his coffee on his desk, but he was upstairs. I put my coffee in the fridge because I was going to eat lunch, and then I was going to, during this time, drink my coffee. So he comes down into the kitchen, and I can hear him shaking and doing all these things. I'm like, what is this man doing? Like, he can't possibly be making a drink. That's literally what I thought.
No, not at 1 p.m.
I literally thought he can't
like
possibly be making a drink. Like, it's too early. So I didn't think nothing of it. I keep eating, right? He goes downstairs and he notices, after he done doctored up the coffee and everything like that, he goes downstairs and notices he doctored my coffee. His coffee was sitting right on his desk. Now I got to drink this, y'all. Now, anybody who know me know I like my coffee to be black like me. Okay.
Well, it's still technically black. Long story short, like she said, she'd been low energy all day. So when I came into the living room where she was, she basically mumbled. Like, I'm like, hey, and she was like, yeah, your coffee. That's literally what I heard. So I said, oh, okay. So I went to the kitchen and I opened the fridge and there was a coffee there. So I figured she had her coffee sitting near her or drinking in the car, and I figured she put mine because it was a minute before she got home. So I figured her coffee was either done or she had. So I go in the fridge, I see it, I'm like, this isn't right. But I said, you know what? She's tired. Maybe
she didn't pay attention.
Maybe she didn't pay attention, and maybe the coffee shop that she went to is a coffee shop that we go to a lot. So maybe they just gave her something that they knew I liked or whatever. So I said, cool. At worst, their coffee just needs sweetener. Like, they don't botch coffee orders. Yeah. You know, even if I got somebody's order from down the street, I would most likely still drink it. Right. They're just the best coffee shop in Vegas.
Pikey, shout out to Pikey.
Yeah, shout out to Pikey. So I was like, this isn't right, but it's fine. I just add some sweetener and put some ice in it. And I also asked for cold foam, but we make coffee drinks here, especially on the weekends, a lot. So I have the at-home cold foam. So I just sweeten it and put cold foam in it. Like, that's really all I needed, and that was it. It tastes phenomenal, by the way. So.
It's okay. The point is that, yo, how I'm supposed to get energy with this?
It's still her coffee. It's just sweeter. So it's
he did a thing, or whatever the case may be. But it really tickled me because I'm like, I know I said it, but she literally said, "Say it loud." Like,
you coffee in there.
Yeah, I did do that.
Okay, like, and it was,
he don't be wanting to
it was a lot going
on.
I was in between meetings all day. Yeah. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna just get it and make it work.
It tickled me though, so I wanted to share that with you guys. Let's dig on in. We can go in the order that they went,
which they had order and they had a plan and the production.
It was really good.
If you had just watched the Love Island reunion, this was like living in the penthouse at the top of the most expensive building in the world, and then the juxtaposition was living in a shack in the hood in the poorest country in the world. That was the difference between these two reunions. It was night and day. They even went in order, if you noticed, they even went in order of how they were going to hit the couples on stage. So the couples literally sat from left to right, and that's how they covered everyone.
Oh my God, y'all didn't even notice
I was like, I just appreciated this professionalism in this order so much.
Our niece just got accepted to do like an AV club kind of thing, where she makes content and stuff like that. And that to me is the difference between watching like, this was like a Real Housewives production.
Yeah.
And what we watched on Love Island was like Harlem and JBB doing their thing. You know what I mean? Which is like good for them. But like,
it was very elementary.
Y'all got to step y'all cookies up because y'all getting paid for that.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree. I felt like the way that this was rolled out, first of all, I like the hosts a lot more. I don't know if you guys do, but I feel like they are far more genuine than Nick Lachey and
I don't dislike Nick Lachey and his wife. I just think this couple is far better and far, just like she said, and just genuine.
Just genuine. It's not even like I like you said, I don't dislike Nick Lachey and his wife. Had I not had another person to compare them to, I would have no opinion.
And to be honest, watching Love Island's reunion, I was praying for Nick Lachey and his wife to just come on the scene.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
who gonna do the reunion?
They look like Regis Philbin and Barbara Walters compared to what we was watching on Love Island.
But these two were very good, and they asked to me the questions that we were all thinking. There were some more things we could have dug in on.
Yes,
but but that's okay. They had a certain amount of time, and for what they had, for what we got, I was kind of happy with the structure and everything. It felt so organized.
Yeah,
but that's ITVP, man. I don't care what nobody said. The BBC, ITVP, all of those television production companies that are in the UK are they're just better. I
can't really explain it.
What it is, y'all. Like, we are obsessed with BBC shows.
Yeah.
Anything that's coming out of ITVP, even Supercell, they came out of ITVP.
Yeah.
So it's like that's you know what I mean. So it's like really, I don't know, y'all. They just do it better.
They do.
They write better. They do it better. I'm saying all that to say, let's dig on into Demi and Ali because they went first, which I was kind of surprised that they were first. I didn't even make the connection with the seating, but I was surprised they went first because I thought they had a real story to tell.
Yeah, and I thought that I was kind of shocked that they weren't sitting together, which is another thing that they did that I appreciated. So they took the guesswork out of it. Already, the people who were single were sitting by themselves, and the people who were together was together.
I appreciated that, even though I thought Freddie and Kat were together. I was about to say, Freddie, I will beat your butt.
Yeah, that was the thing. But they both are trying.
But they just are like,
they trying.
I hate when people are above it. You already know how I feel about that. But
yeah.
So Demi looked wonderful.
She did.
She looked wonderful. And let me say this, because I don't think I said this enough during the season. And I do this a lot. I feel like sometimes, like the people I really like, I don't really say much about because I don't want to say anything mean or nasty about them or anything like that. So I kind of like glaze over them most times. I love Demi. Like, I watch her, and not often do I watch people and think, me and her could be girlfriends. Like, I just like her vibe. I like her energy. And she seems so authentic and so genuine. Even when they bought out her book, and in the front of the book was the picture of the parents, and she said, please protect me through this journey. Y'all, I almost started crying. I thought that was so, like, that to me said, like, she was here. She did not come on here for play. You know what I mean? And although I've been watching the interview with with Ali, with Jesse Wu, because I'm trying to get a read on him because he doesn't seem as genuine to me as she does.
I don't agree with that at all. I'm trying to get a read on Demi, for real. I like Demi. I'm a fan of Demi's from the beginning. I'm trying to get a read on Demi because I don't know if anybody else caught it because we all like Demi, but her explanation of why she didn't say yes at the altar was completely vague and had like no substance in it.
I think she's trying to be respectful of him because the truth of the matter is, when she said on the show that he hadn't called her, they were separated for a few days before the wedding, and she said he did not try to make contact.
She said that they didn't speak in those days, but they weren't really supposed to speak in those days.
No, you're not supposed to see each other. You can speak.
Yeah, but I don't think she
You're
was...
just not supposed to see
I also don't think
each
she was
other.
making a big deal out of that either, because she didn't seem... She just said, like, they were having introspective and they gave them a time to reflect. She didn't even really seem upset about that.
I think she defends him. And so this is not an indictment on Ali, because although I find him hard to read, I don't dislike Ali. So what I'm saying is sometimes I think that she defends him with her language, the way that she speaks about things, because she doesn't want it to be bigger than what it is. But to your point, it is vague.
Yeah, I don't even like...
It is vague.
I think it's vague. I don't even like the term... Ali said something about the whole thing about with... Was it Catherine?
Yeah.
About Catherine and how people projected on him because he was a black man on TV who was
and it was very much projection.
People projected on him that he's this, black
man who likes white women.
You know what I mean? And I think that we do that a lot with black men on TV, and I'm so glad that he even broached that subject. I don't even like the term she defends him. Ali hasn't done anything to have to defend.
No.
You know what I mean?
And I don't even like when preemptively, for lack of a better word, what she does is she uses language so that you nor I nor anybody else watching can indict him on anything that's being done. And I think that's partially because of when they were early on in their relationship, no matter if she looked a certain way, did something certain, everybody thought Ali was doing something to her. So now
Which also was a projection.
Which also was, in fact, a projection. But the thing is, now she's correcting the behavior, to me, this is my perspective, so much so that we don't even know what the hell went wrong.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it was a big deal. Because personally, I've seen it happen before. A couple said yes, a couple said no. And I don't think she thought it was a big deal. So I don't want to read too much into it because she didn't make it seem like that made or break her decision or whatever. When she did go to talk on the reunion about what her answer was, I just thought it was completely vague. She didn't really, even on the show, the day of the wedding, even that was like kind of beat around the bush type thing. You know what I mean? Like no one can really say what happened, what went wrong. Ali actually said why. He literally said why.
That was rehearsed. Please stop.
What was
Please
rehearsed?
Stop. That was one of those. Ali saying why felt so. That's what I mean when I say disingenuous. Because the moment Ali gets off the stage after they get married or gets off the platform or whatever the case may be, he meets up with the guy who owns the chicken shop, Aaron. And I think that's his name, y'all. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Aaron says, "I know you're relieved." He literally says to him, "I know you're relieved." He was like, because Ali went to go on and say, "I can't believe she said no." He like, yeah, but I know you're relieved. He had already known he did not want to do this, Joe.
What do you mean?
Go back and watch. He already knew that. I think she said no because she felt like he was going to say no. Nothing indicated to her that he would say yes.
I disagree with that. He never said that he was going to say no, and neither did she.
The day of their wedding, he gets off the stage after she says no. He goes back into his room with the guy. He starts to go on his diatribe because cameras are around. And Aaron then says...
He absolutely thought she was going to say yes.
Aaron says, "I know you are relieved." He literally said that.
Yeah, we don't know that he was talking about...
He said, yeah, a little bit. He literally said that.
Yeah, again, I don't want to get to the place where we're projecting things onto Ali because it feels like we're trying to villainize him for not doing anything.
I'm not trying to villainize
him. I'm not
saying,
even talking about you in particular because this goes back to what he said about the whole thing with Catherine and everything too, right? She never said, "I said no because he was going to say no," or "I said no because he didn't treat me right." She said glowing things about him. He absolutely was not the only person that was confused by this, especially if you was follow Twitter and you was tweeting while they was going on. He wasn't the only person that was confused by this. When he said why, I was thinking why. I literally said it in a moment. I said why. I want to to live in a place of going off of what we saw. We just was listening to something where Ali was talking about how things happen behind the scenes that don't necessarily get put on TV, like the whole thing with Charlotte and everything like that, and how he mentioned
But the way he mentioned that
he actually had a connection with Charlotte, but they made it seem like it was random.
Wasn't as strong as he said himself. His connection wasn't as strong as his with Cats or his with Demi's, because Charlotte doesn't do a good job of showing her.
Right. My point wasn't, but that's not true though. We didn't see Charlotte.
We didn't need to see him with Charlotte.
That's not. I disagree with that. The first time I saw Charlotte was when she came to the couples reunion or whatever the hell that was.
No, she was in the pods talking to Aaron.
I'm saying I've never seen Charlotte have a connection with anybody. I didn't even know Charlotte had a connection with anybody.
So you know what I'm saying? I think that she's not good TV.
Well, she might not be. My whole point is that I think there's things that happen that are not shown, which it's not that I think, it's factual. There's things that are happening that are not shown. So I don't know if it's something that leans in that area, but if anybody was hard to get a read on, it was Demi, because of this vague ass explanation of no one still knows why they didn't.
And to your point, that is really accurate. We still don't really know. Like, I think inversely, like Sabrina gave a very good explanation why her and Steven are no longer with one another. And I think the reason why I'm putting the onus on Ali is because, not even the onus. I'm not placing blame. I'm just saying, if he wanted to, he would. You know what I mean? What I really do believe that, like, she could have said no in that moment. And if he felt vehemently that no, like, I know this is the woman for me. I know this is the person for me. I want to continue to pursue this. They would still date.
I don't believe that. I believe that she gave this hard and fast stance that she needed to find. First of all, she went first, so she said no. He didn't have a chance to, like, he didn't go first. She went first. She said no first.
Right, and then they don't give you a chance to.
And then when she got on the reunion, the one thing that I did gather from her response was that she didn't like, who she was on the show, and that she needed to go on this journey of self-searching for herself, and she moved back into her mom and dad's house. Like, this is all great internal growth and everything. So you
think that their relationship is over because of her?
We don't have any evidence of the contrary, especially going off of what she said. She said everything was I. If you go back and watch what she said, it was, I moved back to my mom's house because I miss my family. I didn't like who I was. I got to do this. I have some personal growth to do, blah, 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 blah. A lot of it was very big statements, general statements, that when we talk about things that I wish we would have, even though the host did a good job, when we talk about things that I wish the host would have pried into more, it's a lot of it was that. Because I would have been like, let's talk about this. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, and I think that that's a good point. And I also think they might need to put that in the contract. Like, you have to say in 4 sentences exactly why you are not
1,000%.
Or you have to write it in a paragraph, or you have to write it. Only because I think you have a valid point here. Because if I'm watching and I don't understand Love is Blind, I'm trying to figure out why y'all two don't work out.
Because
we don't have a barometer of that.
Not only that, but it lends to, and this is not about Demi, but I think there's some other people on the show which we'll get to. It lends to people getting on the show and then fulfilling their contractual obligations. I was supposed to be here. I was supposed to talk to people in the pods for 3 weeks or 3 days. Who the hell knows? And then after that, we're supposed to get engaged. And then after we get engaged, we're supposed to go on honeymoon for however many days. And then after that, we're supposed to make a decision. I made my decision. I fulfilled my contractual obligations. I'm done with this. It lends to, like, people just being like, I just need to make it to the next. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I want to call people on the carpet. Period. Full stop. Like, you're getting paid to do this. Part of this process is the viewer peering into your relationship and understanding. We should have a full scope understanding of how your relationship began and ended and why.
I agree. I agree with that, because I don't think that it should be it shouldn't be vague. But that's how you know that they didn't get anything on camera either. Because I think if they had something visually to show, they would have showed it.
Yeah, I don't trust it. Their production, as far as I feel like there's a lot more things that happen off camera that was not shown. Outside of this Ali situation with Charlotte, outside of even outside of the Sam situation. Like, you know what I mean? I just feel like there's a lot of things that people just speak about. And no one has any factual, like, all of a sudden, people just turned on Sam and we don't know why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I say that because I'm a very literal person. Like, I'm rocking with you until I'm not rocking with you. But if I'm not rocking with you, I need a reason why I'm not rocking with you. Like, I need a tangible, Zar used to do this thing when we first started, not when we first started dating, but when we were dating later on in life after college and stuff like that, where she would just be like, I don't like her. I don't like him. And I would be like, why? What happened?
Was I ever wrong?
You were.
I was never.
That's not true.
Wrong.
That's not true.
I was never wrong.
That's not true. But
you won't mention Sharon.
We can debate this. But Sharon is one of them. You mentioned her. I didn't mention her.
One of my besties. I love Sharon Dan.
But I don't want to go into this.
But she would say that too.
They're best friends now. They're like best friends.
She would say that too.
My point is.
That's my baby. Hey, boo.
My point is, she would say this, and I would be like, I need a, like, you have to tell me.
But I could be wrong. I could be wrong once. But
anyway,
I'm 80%.
But my point is that when I'm watching these shows, I'm the same way. Mr. Keep the same energy. Like, I need to know, like, if we're gonna villainize this person, if we all hating this person, I need to know why. You know what I mean? I'm not that. The rest of Twitter and TikTok is very much so we just riding a wave. We all hate so and so because everybody hates so and so. And I'm like, point. I'm not that person. Like, you have to show me why I don't like this person.
It's not that. I want to get back to Demi and Ali, but I want to speak to your point about Sam. It's not that I'm so indifferent on Sam, because it's not that I dislike him. It's that he doesn't give me anything to like. So to me, I think he's like a ghost vapor. Like, you know what I mean? He like oxygen. You can't even see his motherfucker. Like, he matters. Like, I mean, well, oxygen matters, but like something that he's just dust particles. Like, he just doesn't matter.
Which I can get on board with that. Where I differ from a lot of people is I can
like, how do you have a strong opinion on somebody?
I can be indifferent. Yeah. Full stop. Like, you know what I mean? But that indifference will stay indifferent. I will not then be like, I don't like so-and-so. Like, you know what I mean? I would just be like, what did he do? And that's kind of where I was in the whole Sam thing. I'm like, no one has shown me, you know what I mean? Not to say that something didn't happen. Because like I said, we find out, I mean, especially when these shows end and these people start hitting the podcast, right. We find out stuff every day. Oh, so-and-so actually did have a relationship with so-and-so. So-and-so actually, you know what I mean? I'm just like, show me the evidence. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you in the comments and you know the evidence, drop the evidence. But I just need the evidence because I'm just not like riding the waves.
I had such a strong feeling like about Catherine. Like, I feel like she's not a good human. And I tried to redeem her, y'all. I went back and watched. She just did an interview. Basically, they were asking her, like, have you learned anything and everything like that? And everything was about her and how she was adopted. And I know that I'm worthy of love. And I know this. And I'm like, girl, shut the bleep up. Like, you've learned absolutely nothing. And I was very glad that she got gathered a bit by Jasmine and Demi. I'm kind of glad because Demi made a valid point. Like, you said something, like, you alluded to the fact that my looks will be an issue for Ali. You made it a thing first.
1,000%. But Catherine is the person who's always the victim. She's always the victim.
And she wanted to be the victim even when he said, Demi is usually my type.
Yes.
She wanted to be like, oh, well, what is that? She wanted to make it racial so bad.
But then also to kind of like interject yourself in like the whole situation where there was a moment where she's like, you know, he needs to show this and he needs to do like totally, like Demi said, totally like out of line and minding somebody else's business, somebody else's man, somebody else's feelings, somebody else's emotions. This has nothing to do with you to interject yourself we all understood that you were alluding to her looks. So then to try to like gas like the entire audience, like, all right, that's never what I said. That's never what I meant. She is a terrible person. And then to watch her drain the joy from this boy's eyes.
He looks so depressed even sitting next to her.
Even how he speaks and delivers his words are not the same as when he first came on camera.
At all.
And I think the sister, it was trying to be nice in the way she spoke about them. But I think she 1,000% saw this woman is draining him.
She is a life. Some people are emotional vampires.
Yes, and she's one of them.
You know what I mean? And she's absolutely one of them. And you can't win with people who use their trauma as an excuse for their bad behavior.
Yes.
Like, you can't win because it'll always be, oh, well, I was adopted at 11 months old.
Yeah.
So, you know, my sense of abandonment is why I whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Like, we have to, okay, we can acknowledge that happened, and then we have to move past it and look towards better behavior. But for her, that's just not a thing. But she ended up dating somebody else in the pod squad. Not that I care, because I don't want to see her on anything else. I think she's terrible. And I've really, honestly, if I'm being, now, having seen season 1 of this, we need less good looking people. I think that if the UK, I'm not going to pretend like they don't have, I mean, you go there, you see like beautiful people. But I just think we need average looking humans, because I also do think, the more I think about Steven and Sabrina, the more I think he was trying to be an influencer. Although he seemed genuine, maybe I felt like his responses were always so curated and good. And looking back on it, not that somebody shouldn't have the right things to say, but looking back on it, it does seem a bit disingenuous.
I think this whole, I honestly think, to your average people point, I think they nailed it at this cast, honestly. I thought they
were beautiful, beautiful people.
Averagely so. To me. That's kind of where it was. Like, I think there's a line, and I think, like, Love Island tries to go way overcorrected. Right. Everybody's a model. But that's because they're young people and they want them to be sexy because they will be. But I still think there's a line and they missed the mark. And I think this UK Love Is Blind was perfectly like in the middle. Okay. Like, I thought some of them were above average pretty, like Jasmine, and then I think most of them were basically average pretty, like Demi. You know what I mean? And so I think there was a good mix of people. It was like Jasmine, Kat, Freddie is stunning. I don't think. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I think Kat is average. You can't put Freddie on a cast and then call Freddie is like abnormally good looking. I think there was maybe one or two of them then. You know what I mean? I think the rest of the cast was just like, okay. Point. And so I think that they did a good job of like pairing things. I believe that what's the girl's name? That the girl and the guy that you just, Sabrina. I think that Sabrina and Steven were actually into each other, but I knew that they were doomed from the beginning because of this long distance thing. Let me just sit this right here. As somebody who has gone through a long distance relationship with the person sitting next to me for an extensive amount of time, and by time I mean years, everybody is not built for this long distance thing. I thought they were doomed from the very beginning, especially because she seemed a little tone deaf in the idea of moving and time being spent. It seemed like super naive. And so he's just going to come to Belfast. He has a whole business in London. He has a brick and mortar business in London. But she said that like from the rip, like when there was no equity there. Like, you know what I mean? It's hard to get somebody to move for somebody who they're actually like in love with. So I thought, y'all are screwed from the very beginning because y'all don't understand the dynamic of not only being outside, which he gave good credence to in that, because we talked about this too. When things happen in this world, it is almost completely fictitious. We talk about these dates that they're not setting up these dates. Yeah. No one is putting down their credit card to pay for the dinner. The big bushel of roses that they send to the room, or that's on the roses that if you bought roses before, you know that big bushel of roses, and somewhere between $250 and $500. They're not paying for those roses. Like, so I think he brought a good perspective to when he said like, this is not real. And then we get on the outside and you have to plan dates and you have to be, responsive, and you need two people have to be apart. It takes two to tango. So like, I can't just be texting you because now some people are at work. And so they're not as responsive. You know what I mean? There's so many more factors. I just thought they was doomed from the beginning. But my thing is this, you got to do that with anybody you dating. Like, it requires you to communicate.
and show up and do all these things. So why is it so hard to do? The reason why I feel like,
I think long distance is, everyone is not built for long distance, and people talk so lightly about it before they've been in it.
But I think, let me tell you why I think he's disingenuous though. He speaks about how the reason why he was unable to see Sabrina was because of financial reasons. You knew before you got out the pod you couldn't afford to be in a long distance relationship.
But this is my point about people underestimating there's a spectrum, and I think they both completely underestimated the difficulty of long distance relationships.
She was showing
because
up.
Also,
she had went there 8 times.
Because the other reason, which isn't a lot in a span of a year.
But that's because she probably would have went more if she was. He had. But I also. So she probably would have went more if she was with somebody who was with the back and forth.
But there was also the instance of work too. Right? They also referenced that. And I think that you're also underestimating that. She spoke so flippantly about it. Like, this is going to be easy. We're just going to go back and forth. This isn't Jersey and Philly.
But it's Philly and Pittsburgh. So the truth of the matter is, if you make it intentional, you'll do it. Anything you want, you can have if you're intentional about it. Period.
I don't disagree with that.
She wasn't flippant about it.
She was flippant about it, though.
She knew what she had the capacity to do. So
they hadn't talked about that,
though. They didn't need to talk about it.
They did.
She knew what she could do to make a relationship like that work. She knew her responsibility. I do not have to talk to you about the responsibility of what I think I need to do to show up in this relationship. I'm going to show up a certain way, and then you're going to show up a certain way. And then we calibrate based on that. That's literally how it's going to go. So for her, she said, okay, 6 hours. I go back and forth. I've been to London, so it ain't that deep. I know it's going to cost me this. It's a Spirit flight, a boom boom, or whatever. I forget the cheap flight or whatever. She probably thought it's not going to be that deep. When he comes, she got a rental car for him. She made sure he had an iron board. She made sure to set her home up so he felt comfortable. So she had a very good understanding of what it took to be in a relationship long distance. I think that he dropped the ball. I think that he underestimated the fact that he did not have no goddamn funds, whatever, time, any of that currency in any of that regard in order to give her to build on that relationship. That's not her fault.
I think the idea that you don't have to communicate and plan about how you're going to attack something as big as long distance relationship, 6 some hours apart from each other, is wild.
But nobody is saying that they are not doing that. What I'm saying is,
you said she didn't have to.
No, I'm saying
she absolutely had to as a couple.
She understood her responsibility,
which is great. It doesn't matter if you're not communicative.
Which is why, but nobody.
They had no plan about this. You as a couple are supposed to talk about and communicate how you plan to attack this. It was evident to me that neither one of them had this. I said it. I've said it on here before the year of time happened, where she did all of that stuff. I said, this sounds crazy. They're not talking about this. It was very clear that they had no plan of action as to how they were going to execute long distance relationship, which is a very big thing to undertake, especially when you are a very big adult with jobs and businesses and all of these other things and responsibilities. It was very clear to me that they never had those conversations. And that's what I'm talking about.
I do think, to your earlier point, they underestimated what it required. And by they,
1,000%.
I mean him. And I don't mean, and I don't want to like put this on him, but the reason why I am is because she always, to hear her say she went there 8 times and then she set her space up to look, a certain way for him, and he didn't reciprocate in kind, lets me know that he dropped the ball. To tell her that
I'm not saying that he didn't drop the ball.
Christmas,
I'm not disputing that. That's not a debate for me.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's what I'm getting to. Like, I feel like there was an underestimation of what it required, but I also think that it feels more disingenuous because to only go up there 2 times, like, come on, be for real. Like, y'all not kids, y'all adults. And to fly from Philadelphia, Pittsburgh probably costs more money than to go from Belfast to London.
I'm saying, take this word from me. We watch these people sit in the pods for weeks and talk about nothing. We watched this happen for weeks. You would save yourself so much heartache and heartbreak if you would have these people will show their cards.
Like, what would it look like if you had to come back and forth? Like, how would we do it? I understand what you're saying.
Or you have a business here, right? It was evident to me because anytime she would even broach the subject, he would just kind of be like, oh, okay, we'll figure it out. So y'all never had that conversation either about the whole Belfast thing or about the whole business thing, right? They never talked about his gym. If they did, it didn't happen on camera. We never heard that. So that in itself to me was a red flag. Like, my thing is, you will save yourself so much heartache and heartbreak if you have these conversations beforehand. You would be able to tell his or her intent and how they are going to approach or show up for you in a situation of long distance. How many times do we plan to go back and forth with each other? How are we going to handle about? Do we set aside a saving fund for? We're going to be doing so much more travel. How are we going to plan for financing this travel?
But that's why I think they need more time. Like, I think I think you're making a good point, because when I think about Married at First Sight, they start having these conversations about, like, all right, where are we going to live? What are we going to do when we leave this place?
And they have a counselor.
And you know what I mean? What are the finances looking like? Because these people I haven't heard anybody even speak about, you know what I mean? Like the money thing and everything outside of like Freddie. You know what I mean?
The only people I've heard even broach the subject in finances was about the goddamn ice cream. That was the only like couple that I've actually heard even try to get into the subject. And y'all claim that y'all sit in these pods and y'all have this is the reason why you're able to fall in love at first sight or love is blind or whatever. This is the reason why you're able to do it, because you have such deep conversations, and then you get out, these people get out, and then the world smacks y'all. And then it's like a wake-up call.
To your point with Maria and Tom, if you were dating intentionally to be married and you wanted somebody to take care of you a certain way, or wanted to really have a better or deeper conversation about how you expect to be taken care of, why wouldn't you just have that conversation?
This is my point.
Like, just be clear.
When you are an adult in a relationship, you have to teach the other person how to show up for you.
Yes.
So when I say I'm not putting the onus on one person, that's what I'm talking about. As a couple, it does not matter.
And that's what you mean about the communication.
That's what I mean. It does not matter what sex you are. Both adults in a relationship have to make their expectations known. Expectation is what killed the cat. Both couples have to communicate these things, especially when you're about to embark on some type of big part of life, moving in together, long distance relationship, understanding how we're going to do this, how we're going to do that. You have to have a conversation about that. At the point where you release this information to the other person, that's when the other person is now responsible for that. So just jumping into something and then winging it, even if you're great at winging it, does not mean that you're not at fault for why the thing went to shit. And I think that the same way with Maria, at a ice cream shop at the counter is not the time to be like to chew somebody out about how you think you want to handle finances. And that's just not the time. And
it probably alarmed him. And I do think there is a way. It's funny because I was looking at this thing today because I was up all night long.
Literally.
And I was just like reading stuff about my sign and stuff like that. And it was just saying how like Virgo moons are picky partners, like really picky people. And I'm like, am I picky?
Yes.
But like with men.
Oh, that's a different,
I don't know. You know what I mean? But in my brain, when I was sitting there and I was thinking, but I'm picky. Yeah, yes. I'm particular. I'm not picky. I'm particular. But I think but when I was thinking about it, I was like very no nonsense with people. Like I just was like cut to the quick, like, all right, we can do this. We're going to do it this way or we're not. You know what I mean? And I just don't understand why it's so hard for people to communicate what they need. Especially when it comes to like how we expect to share finances, how we expect to share a life. Like if you're meaning to have something long term, like, and I get it, because me and you had an issue. I feel like we had trouble talking about it at first.
Every couple has issues broaching some of these big topics. I think it's
topics. A little, you do it gingerly, yeah.
And it's awkward for most couples. We've watched a ton of these shows.
Yeah, for sure.
99.9% of them have trouble broaching the subject of finances or broaching the subject of how we're going to handle, how we're going to handle living arrangements or who's going to live closer to whose job. All of these big things. And it's understandable. You're human and you're coming from a place that is completely opposite. You live by yourself. Most of them live by themselves, only took care of themselves. Most of these people don't have kids and other things like that. So this is a big life change. That's understandable, right? And I think to your point on shows like Married at First Sight and things like that, it's easier because there's somebody guiding them.
They get the prompts.
And asking them these questions. Let's talk about sex.
Right.
Let's talk about finances. Somebody is guiding them through that. It's very difficult when no one is guiding you through that.
The only person who mentioned it was Maria. And even that, speaking about being vague and vague conversations, I felt it was a vague conversation.
Completely.
You know what I mean? Like, I so vividly remember, like, telling people, like, no, I need this, 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 and this. And then we can move on in this relationship. And it's just, and not to be like, city girls up 1,000, but more like, I'm a woman and these are my expectations. And I feel like she speaks about things very like, oh, you don't understand. It's cultural. And it's like, well, make people understand.
You have to educate these people. You cannot jump into a situation with another human being, not tell them to play, and to be mad at them for dropping the ball. You just
I'm not
can't
mad
do
at
it.
Tom, and y'all not going to make me be mad at him.
You just can't do it.
As a woman who's hyper picky and hyper particular, you can't do certain things and be on my doorstep. How could we? What did shit right? Where would we meet? We don't shop at the same places. We don't do this. We don't. So I wouldn't even meet this human. You know what I mean? And I think that, like, if that's the case, sis, you also have to communicate those things.
1,000%.
Because, like, he might have felt like, oh, she just here to, for clout or whatever. And she a makeup artist. We ain't talking about somebody a surgeon and this is no disrespect to makeup artists, because I know there are a ton who make a lot of money. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in his eyes, they not making money in the UK like they making in America. Let's keep it 100, okay? Ain't nobody tipping.
But it don't matter.
They can't be charging people $300 and $400 a face and all that silly stuff. They not doing it. So it's like,
but you would have reservations without knowing this person or the context in which they live their life.
Yes.
You would have reservations by their occupation.
Yes.
We talked about that in one of the previous videos. If he said he was a makeup artist, she would question that. She would not?
But by her logic, she would, because she wants to live a certain life.
1,000%.
So it's like, even to put on him like, oh, well, I wouldn't want my child to judge anybody based on this and that. And it's like, baby, but that's kind of what you did.
But then the
Am
whole...
I like missing it?
No.
Am I missing it?
And then the whole playing victim thing of, well, I don't like that he just he was disrespecting my mother and my sister.
I didn't think he did it.
He didn't.
What did he do? But did I miss it?
He just didn't. He said what he wanted to do and how he wanted to live his life and how he wanted to raise his family. And it was just different from yours, period. And I think so many people want to come out of these situations with a win, especially when they don't say...
You know what? That's a very good point.
Especially when they're not the ones who went first at the altar. So they didn't say no.
Oh.
So now it's, my win is going to be, I'm the victim. He victimized me.
Yeah.
He's the big bad wolf, and he was disrespecting my culture. Now you're trying to get the culture after him. He was disrespecting my girl. Sit down.
Now you're trying to
it was just BS.
It was, and it's okay to say, like, I'm a housewife, and I enjoy being a housewife. I'm not very good at it, but I'm learning, and I think that, like. But me and him communicated about it. We were just like, well, what does it look like if I stay at home? You know what I mean? Or if I don't rush to work? Like, what does it look like? And I think, like, why are we not having... It is a big conversation, so I do understand it. And, inversely, we have a lot of time in. So we are equipped to have those kind of conversations. But it's like, y'all insert these things to fail. You're not going to get me to believe otherwise. Like, y'all literally create the scenario for you to fail, because there was a way for this young lady to communicate her needs in a way that he understood it. You're not going to get me to believe in 2024 time this grown white man don't understand that he got to pay for poom poom. You're not going to get me to You're not going to get... He's been dating all this time.
But also, you are not going to finesse us to not believe our eyes. We're watching the show. We're getting the read on certain people. We're hearing how people move and how people... Nothing about Tom he was some F-boy who wasn't going to foot any bill. Nothing about him gave that.
And it was ice cream for your fiance. For your fiance. I tell people all the time when they come to my house, the least I could do is feed you. That's the very least I could do. So to me, the idea that this is a person that if I'm a man, that gives me a red flag. Because
1,000%.
If my husband pays for everything and I go out and buy the coffee, that's out of love. I'm not going to be like, you ain't buy the coffee like that. You know what I mean?
But the red flag to me would have been the game of it all, the test of it all. That the one thing that you don't do, especially as a married couple, is create obstacles. There's enough obstacles already there. There's enough landmines on the field of marriage. You do not need to bring your own. You just don't. Because life is going to life, period. So you putting me through a test, I would have been done with you I'm an adult. Talk to me. That's not how we handle things. We're not kids. Little girls test boys. Oh, I'm testing. I'm going to see what he say about this.
It is a testament
This is childish.
Inexperience. It's a testament.
Immaturity. Because mature men and women speak their needs.
Yeah,
they speak their expectations.
And he's older, but you know what?
And that's too. He was like, I ain't doing this.
He's 38 and she 30. And and this is no shade to Maria, because I like Maria a lot. I like her energy. So this is no shade to her. She just got a little bit of grown up to do. Like, I think about who I was as a young woman and who I am now, and how I'm just worlds different, and how the way that I'm able to communicate about things, and how I used to snap on people. I used to be in Nordstrom, Saks, snapping on mother jumpers. They don't give me what I want. And the idea that I just would, like, I think about her and cringe. You know what I mean? Like, she's going to get to a space where she's going to learn how to communicate her needs so effectively and efficiently. It's not even going to feel like to him that she wants to take. You know what I mean? And I think that that's the thing. Like, I'm not saying that you have to bring something to the table, because I don't believe in that ideology at all. But I think that I am always an asset. I don't have to explain how I'm an asset, anything like that. But I know if I'm in your life, you're going to win. And I think that, like, she's just not, and she doesn't have to make a case for that as much as she just has to learn how to speak to what it would require of him in order for him to be more of a better asset to him.
But that is bringing something to the table.
But I don't like that conversation. Oh, what do you bring to the table? Because I don't bring a motherfucking thing to the table.
You bring a lot to the table.
No.
You don't like the term.
I'm not bringing nothing but a doggy bag. No. I'm taking from the table.
You don't like the terminology.
I'm taking the chairs. I'm taking the table. I'm taking everything with me.
The truth of the matter is,
I don't like the terminology, because I don't think we should have to speak to each other like that.
No, and I agree. I'm saying that in every relationship, there's a yin and a yang. There's a give and a take. No team functions correctly if everybody's not playing their role, right? Now, your role will look different on whatever team that you are, but you have to be playing your role for your team. As a husband and wife, you are a team.
Yeah.
So what you bring to the table is different. It will be different. But you have to.
Don't like the.
But in the essence of it,
sense.
in the essence of it, you do have to bring something. And I think part of the big disconnect with a lot of men in today's dating world is we just had a conversation about this stat that was going viral on Twitter about how they said 80% of single men are not interested in continuing to look for partnership. And then somebody said, I want people to chime in and give reasons or whatever. And I was up late one night too. And I was just reading. I was just curious. I'm just reading them because I've been out the game for a while. So I'm curious what the single, you know what I mean? I'm curious what the single people are saying. And a lot of them talked about, a lot of it was based in genuine connectivity and whether or not they feel like what they are bringing is reciprocated at some point. If you got into the details of that, it wasn't just like, I'm paying bills and you cooking. Some of it was as small as I'm carrying the conversation and you're not saying anything back to me. Mm-hmm. I'm texting you and you're not texting me back. I'm calling you, you're not calling me back. We on the phone and I'm doing a lot of the.
You pay the bills and I'm not cooking.
Huh?
I said you pay the bills and I'm not cooking.
But a lot of
I'm definitely ordering out.
But a lot of it was that, and that falls under the essence of like you have to bring something, especially in an age where, I see a lot of people will post a picture on Twitter and say, you know, it'll be a girl in a bikini, and it'll say, how can somebody cheat on her, right? And it's like there's this thought process in this generation of like, I just have to be pretty. Girl, yeah.
But I think
it's farthest from the truth.
But what we're not talking about is that was Charlotte's issue.
It might have been.
She didn't have the personality that Demi or Catherine had because she just didn't need to. Personality is not required of her. She's a stunning girl. And I think she has a personality. I just think that she's not required to show it like some people have to. And
I think also Ali said something too that was introspective to that. He said she didn't show up on camera like she did off camera.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people
she's in her head.
I think a lot of people too they can't get in front of these cameras because there's a tad bit there's an aspect of performance when you have to do these things, when you have to film, when you have to show up. Like there's an aspect of performance to it. Like you got to be on a little bit. You know what I mean? Like we sit here and we talk and we do videos and we are very much so ourselves. Like what you see is what you get. But we got to,
But we are a bit on.
We have to be because otherwise I'll be like.
Yeah, because right now I'm like.
Because I ain't got it. I'm used to pushing through. A lot of my job is that anyway, especially when you sit down and you on tour and you on 4 shows in 5 nights, and you would be surprised because I'll be outside smiling and then I just hide myself and I can hear people like, where Joe at? And you know what I mean? I just don't have it. So there's an aspect of that, and everybody is not able to do it. Everybody doesn't have the turn off thing. Everybody's not able to. You
kind of want to be genuine, right? Like,
yeah, you do.
If that's not who you are, part of you does want to show up that way because isn't that the point?
And it's very different from people's expectations, I think, especially if you're not adjacent to show business. People see these reality shows and they just think, okay, I just got to sit here on this couch and talk to this guy. When if you're at a major production, it's me, her, it's 4 other people in the room. It's more lights than what we have. It's somebody on a jib. It's somebody in a steady cam right there. You might be in a room and it just might be you and somebody filming on a date. You might be surrounded by 15 people. That's intimidating for people who just work in an office every day. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be too hard on. We shouldn't be too hard on people who don't show up the same way on camera, because most of these people, and I appreciate the people who are not, you know, aspiring YouTubers. Like I appreciate the people who just work, they just in the world and then they happen to get picked for this show and they're just not necessarily comfortable, you know.
I think I like it more. I like it more.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't a dig on Charlotte. That was just like, I think that's what happens. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes people will see you and give you the benefit of the doubt versus when you don't have that
personality,
or you don't have that to kind of shield you. You know what I mean? Because sometimes your looks and how you present can be like your armor. You know what I mean? In certain ways. So,
and everybody doesn't have an outgoing, entertaining personality.
We've all met
beautiful people who just, it's not great conversations, but they're beautiful. But they're just not great conversations. You know what I mean? That might have been her. She might have not been entertaining at all.
But it's so funny because to me, but I'm a woman. So for a woman, I feel like it's a little bit different. Like you just want somebody who want to like make you laugh. Like you want him to be good looking, but it's like what's more important is how he make you feel. I mean, I don't know, to me, how he makes you feel. And so I tell y'all all the time, I used to date not ugly men. Everybody would be like, you did not date ugly men. But I be like, I just like to laugh. You know what I mean? And I'm really a geek. And I'm really like funny. I'm hilarious. So you got to be able to banter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And beautiful people, men don't read. You know what I mean? Am I lying? You know what I mean? Then they want to tell you, they want to take you to church and all that stuff like that. Like, I don't, lying. You know what I mean? I ain't got time. But, and I'm married. So, but I do want to talk about, how did you feel about Demi asking Ali and Charlotte, are they dating?
I just didn't like, it wasn't the question, it was the energy behind it. I just thought, this is weird energy for somebody who dumped another person at the altar.
We don't know something.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, this is weird energy for somebody who initiated the breakup of somebody else, and they obviously clearly got together after the show was over. But then I didn't know that they had a connection. We don't know what end the connection was, but I also didn't know that they had a connection prior. So that made it even more weird after finding out that information. I just didn't like the energy behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because what did she do to even deserve this energy that you giving her? I've never heard a girl speak.
How about that? But you know what else I was thinking? And I'm talking out two sides of my mouth when I say this, so bear with me. Part of me feels like the situationship stuff is so corny.
What you mean?
Like, if I ask you, is that your man? Or if I ask you something like that and you can't just definitively say, Ali and I are dating, we are on track to potentially be.
This is a generation.
It's really kind of whack to me. We too old.
I had a conversation about somebody we know today about the same thing. And they told me this and I didn't respond to it. And I wish you were around me because I wanted to say, this is why I don't entertain. What is it? What are you doing? This is a generational thing. Be straight up. It's a lot of gray area dating. It's a lot of we don't have.
It makes me sad.
It's very weird, but people are comfortable in this space. It's very normal now.
It sounds like normal.
It's super normal.
When back in the day, men used to be like, "You're my girl," period. But do people ask? Oh, I meant to ask y'all that. Do people ask you to be in a relationship with them, or do you just assume you're in a relationship?
I think nowadays they do ask, but I think they spend more time in the gray area than I remember ever spending. Like back in the day,
we were in the gray area a lot. Though.
But not really. Back in the day, there was a quick claiming.
Oh yeah.
It was I would find out I was in relationships I didn't even know I was in. I would be like, oh. We are together, you know what I mean? There wasn't this. I mean, and from women, there seems to be this. The women of today are way more they're way more comfortable in the gray area than the women that I remember in my single years. They're just we don't. Okay, y'all ain't doing nothing. You know what I mean? What's happening there? Going to the point of we just had a conversation about somebody who we knew that was staying over somebody's house who didn't claim them. That would have never happened. When I was dating, that just wasn't a thing. You know what I mean? So I think it's a and I'm in this era. I don't even mean age groups. I mean
the era.
23 to 43. Y'all are all doing the same weird, and I just can't get with it. But it is more common. That's what I'm hearing. It's more common.
Because it is just kind of I just didn't understand what the stuttering was for. I'm interested in Charlotte. We're trying to see where things are going. Period. You can't figure that out? Why are we so afraid to say that we have connection with somebody?
I don't know. That's a question for the entire, because
we
saw it a lot on Love Island reunion too. What's going on with y'all? Well, what?
I don't get it. And I don't know if it's I don't want to be the first to claim or I don't know. I'm just curious about that. And that could be old school in that regard. You either my man or you're not. You're in the win. So you do have to, and back in the day, that used to be the thing. You got to cop up. You know what I mean? Because if you don't cop up, you're out of here. Period.
You get a girl number on Monday. Y'all are together by Friday.
No.
Literally, it was so we go together. What does that? How do we go together? We just met.
But I think that's a them saying we're being intentional about this. Whether it's not us just dating each other or whatever the case may be. Because I do think it's a space where you could be just dating to have fun and dating multiple people. So don't get me wrong.
But we weren't doing that. Not back in the day. You know what I mean?
I was a dater.
I remember being in middle school and never you were married. You were just married. You know what I mean? All y'all did was talk on the phone. But that was it. You know what I mean? That's my fish right there. Don't touch my fish. Go for everybody else's fish.
I feel like I had a different experience. I did a lot of dating. And I feel like when I was with somebody who was intentional, it was okay, I don't know who you thought you were seeing on Thursday or Wednesday. Me and you are going to be together and you just need to let them communicate that to them. And it would be oh, okay, I guess I'm in a relationship. You know what I mean? But I wasn't going to broach that subject because I would put myself in position I'm here. I'm not dating you because I want to be just like dating a bunch of people, but I will date a bunch of people because I'm not going to waste my time on one person. Like, that just was my thought process. So I kind of get where these young women are, but I also feel like somebody, man, woman, or nat, is not coming to the stage and because saying like they just want connection. I want to be in a relationship.
I'm a firm believer that men will only do what you allow them to do. And I think that the women, this gray area movement, I think respectfully, the women are leading it. I think these men that's out here living in the gray area and not even like that. I think that big number of this 80% of men who are not blah, 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 blah. That's because they have a lot of situationships where the women are fine with them being situationships.
Oh, that's what it is. Because the women have gotten okay with it. Because before you couldn't be out. You couldn't. Because
that's when I said that I was in relationships I didn't know that I was in. That's because people were claiming me off the rip. Yeah. You know what I mean? There was no like. You know what I mean? I might have met the person on Monday. If I got a text message next to this woman on Wednesday, she like, who is that? I need to know. Like, there was very much so a clear line of like, nah, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? So you can either get on or get off. And now it sounds like the line is very much blurred. It's very open. And I think this is led by the women. Like the men, they will do what you allow them to do.
But I think this is a chicken or the egg kind of situation. Because I think one could argue that could it be that men had operated in a certain space where they did whatever they wanted to do for so long and women were at the behest of that now women are just like, you gonna do it any goddamn way. So you might as well go ahead and do your thing. I'm gonna do my thing too. And now we're living in this gray area that seems like women are facilitating it. But really what they did was just acquiesce to the...
No, I don't subscribe to that theory only because for my time... I'm only going off of my experience and experience that the things that I've seen. Before my era, it was happy wife, happy life. You just picked up your pill and went to work and didn't talk about your feelings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they also had families on the side.
No.
You know what I mean? They also
right.
getting prostitutes.
I'm just saying
they also was doing what they wanted to do. I'm just saying
the vibe was very much, I guess we get married. You know what I mean? And then in my era, it was the era of expectation. It was like, we talk on the phone 3 times a week. You're my husband. You know what I mean? So I think that we're in this social media age where everybody wants to be cool, where we know a couple people personally who are in relationships where they are themselves convincing them that they're okay with something that I believe it's to present to the rest of the world that I'm okay. It's so that you know that I'm the cool girlfriend. I've been with this mug for 8 years and I'm cool with not getting married because I'm the cool girlfriend.
I think there's a lot of the cool
I think there's a lot of posturing for social media. I think there's a lot of posturing for PR effect and PR reasons.
But I also think some of that is taking women's power back. I think not even taking. I don't even want to make this a man-woman thing as much as I want to make it. That ain't powerful
to me.
But I think the power is in being able to make the choice for yourself.
But y'all ain't making choices. And I don't mean y'all, but I mean. But I'm not making a choice. Isn't helping you.
But what I'm getting at is. For a long time, what we're burying the lead on is that men have been able to operate a certain way without any above reproach, right? We literally have seen men have families around the corner, got a prostitute here, mother live here.
I'm just talking about the expectation, even in a run amok era, the expectation is marriage. There's an expectation of how someone should show up. I think that expectation is washed away today.
But this is what I'm getting at. I think the problem is that so many of these new generation of women have seen the women before them go through stuff.
I don't believe that.
And now they're like, I'm not going to go through this stuff.
I don't believe that this is the motivation. I don't.
Okay.
I've seen too much, and I'm not saying that these things didn't happen and these weren't real experience. I'm saying that I don't believe this has happened. That's nothing new under the sun. So I'm saying that the motivation for these actions are far more aesthetically motivated than anything emotionally from emotional
so you think it's
trauma.
all about the vibe?
1,000%. I think this whole thing where everybody wants to be poly don't have nothing to do with you seeing your daddy cheat on your mama. It has nothing to do with that. I think it has everything to do with, this is a generation of sheep. I'm sorry. It's a lot of monkey see, monkey do. It's a lot of everybody want the same man because everybody wants the same man. It's just a lot of that. You know what I mean? And so I think that a lot of these choices that are not choices are motivated by somebody else's judgment, somebody else's thought process. There's a lot of people following the trend, following somebody else. Because if the trend was everybody is getting married and nobody ain't taking no shit, that's what will be happening. That's how the world will be shaking.
But Dr. Bryant, okay? This woman said something I think is so poignant. A lot of times the people who are high value are low functioning. Like, you know what I mean? Because they think in their brain, because they're here, they don't have to do all of these other things. And I think that lends to women as well, in that we get to a certain space where now we don't feel like we got to be dealing with or doing all this other stuff. Like, you know what I mean? So now the action is low, despite the fact that we are actioning, we're being sexually active, we're being around people, we're dating, we're living a life, whatever. And for some of these women, they're having a good time. And for some of these women, they are not.
I would argue.
They are pretending like they are.
1,000%. I would argue that most of them are not. And I would argue that I would argue that the majority of them have an inflated sense of value because of social media. Some of y'all think because the world affirms my prettiness every day because I have 600,000 followers or 100,000 followers or 50,000 followers. I think some people think I don't have to show up. Hence the viral post of how can somebody cheat on me? Because you're pretty?
Okay.
And I think that's leading a lot of it.
I think we're going to require a lot of therapy behind social media and how it affects us in dating.
Oh, yes.
And in life. I was listening to Tony Gaskins actually earlier while I had put my headphones on and everything in the middle of the night, and I'm listening to Tony Gaskins, and this is like a juxtaposition, so just follow me. He was talking about short men. He was specifically referencing Jhené Aiko and Big Sean, and he said you can't be short and think you're going to be in a relationship with a woman for 8 to 10 years. Y'all gotta cop up. Like, you know what I mean? He said because Jhené Aiko is 5'2", but she could date a man who's 6'2". Mm-hmm. See, you can't date a woman who's 6'2". You can't date a woman who's 5'11". They looking at you and saying, even if they 5'4" and 5'2", that you too small. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you have to make the push to be committed sooner. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's where we are. I think that we're in a space where aesthetics are leading how we're choosing people. And when I mean aesthetics, I mean how well somebody curates their Instagram. How well somebody curates their TikTok is how we're choosing people. How well somebody curates their LinkedIn profile. You know what I mean? If how we're saying is the telltale signs of like a good partner or whatever the case may be. And I think what we're losing is the want to be companions. Because in what world, he was absolutely right. In what world are you 5'8" and you think you ain't supposed to cop up now? You supposed to meet a bitch, love her, and cop up right now. Because you don't have 8 years, brother. Because all she gonna do is come across a man who's 6'2" with twists up in his hair, and it's a wrap for you. It's a wrap.
And I think it's there's a divide in that inflated sense of self and value, and with people. If everybody is in their corner saying you have to come to me, no one's meeting in the middle, and I feel like that's a lot of what's going on as well.
But the men don't want to be the men. They don't even take women. We used to go to 2 for $20 at Applebee's.
They're not required to take women.
We used to go to the movie theater. Joe used to take me out every single weekend. We were 16. Every single weekend. All through college. Honestly, the way I'm like a sprinkle is really because of Joe. I tell people that all the time. Like, he kind of started it, and then I just like ran with that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Because I only dated the person who was the best provider. I didn't even, and that was just it, and that's all. I could only like you based on how well you provided, period. And I feel like I understand where women are coming from with that, but I also think it's different now because it's like providing to nobody. Like, we almost feel like we should be provided for without having to show up. I felt like there was a responsibility that I had.
Yes. A lot of it is just based off of aesthetics. Or we've done this thing now where we've convinced people that because you have your own car, apartment, and job, you're a superstar. No, you're just an adult. That's all you are. You're just an adult. Like, that's it. Like, we just have this thing where we're applauding, we're applauding adults for being adults. You know what I mean? Trophies. And so now he got to be Jeff Bezos because I have a full-time job at the local energy factory.
And he don't have to be Jeff Bezos.
But the thing is, he ain't going to be because there's only 10 of them in the United States.
And
you know what I mean? Like, literally.
Where you live. Like, I feel like we are based in this. The social media makes the world feel small, right?
Yes.
But the truth is, the world is a very big place. So in your brain, you will be living in, I don't know, Mississippi, talking about the man need to make $250,000 a year. When in order to live well in Mississippi, you may only need $80,000.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, you're missing out on, and not to say, I don't want y'all to deprecate y'all values. Whatever your value is, you run with that. But
the problem is, people aren't setting their value. They're setting somebody else's value.
And that's the truth.
That's the thing. You only want this man to make $250,000 a year because you heard some Joan on a podcast who you love say the same thing. And you're like, yes, I want to say that I have that too.
About right. Do y'all know how much $250,000 is?
No, people do not have concept. It's very evident to me that a lot of y'all do not have concept of actual dollar and cents and what wealth is and what money is. They were talking about the other day about how Jeff Bezos was apparently interested in purchasing one of the football teams. I can't remember which team, or football or basketball team. I can't remember which team it was.
Well, yeah.
The league had raised the price to, was it
$6 billion?
$6 billion. And they thought that was too high and too expensive because the team that had just previously sold, I think it was the Sacramento Kings or Clippers or somebody like that, sold for $400 million. And so I wanted to do the math on what it's like for a billionaire of Jeff Bezos' status to pay $6 billion for something. When I looked it up, it was the equivalent of a middle-class family spending $15,000 to buy a franchise, to literally buy a sports franchise. So that's, if you make anywhere between $50,000 and $65,000 a year, for you to buy a sports franchise, it will cost you $15,000. Like, people don't have a concept of what wealth is, but people will say, they'll let it sway how they vote. People talk about the
capital gains,
the capital gains tax.
Don't get me started on capital gains.
It's just a whole thing. Like, it's very clear.
On taxes, because
y'all are not in the same tax bracket with these people. That's a whole nother video for another day. But you're not in the tax bracket.
I just want to say this: there are certain podcasts, Millionaire Motivation, the one with the Puerto Rican guy, the one with the guy who flipping houses. These men do not read. They were able to figure out a way to get you all to subscribe, to pay for these little you go into these meetings and
these seminars and these seminars videos.
They make their money from that.
They make their money from you.
They make their money from you consuming their content. So when I see them talking about capital gains tax, this is going to ruin us. I want y'all to start.
None of y'all will have to worry about any of that. Nobody. I'll say this. People who have to worry about the capital gains tax do not have a YouTube channel where they post weekly and daily on it. They just don't.
Unless you Mr. Beast. The truth of the matter is like, it's not even the posting of the content that bothers me. They are not talking about you.
They are not. And
that's just it. And they're not talking about them.
Right.
They can make millions of dollars. They can show you they $20 million. They still not talking about them.
Right.
They at $20 million, and they don't got that.
And they don't have that.
And they don't have that. But at a $20 million portfolio, they still not talking about you. And I need y'all to just be good citizens. And Joe, because it scares me.
It is scary.
And it's frightening because I am the person that'll read it. I'll go through and say, oh, on page 43, it says this. I literally could tell people didn't read it just based on how they commented. I immediately knew. I'm like, and not even like, all of this stuff is public policy. You just Google it. It literally will give you a synopsis of it and then the full breakdown and the full actual policy. So what I'm saying is that these people will have you on here steering you wrong, having you believing one day you're going to be the 100 millionaire too. And guess you can't believe other millionaires want you to become a millionaire.
How about that? They do not.
They do not. The system is set up literally to keep you from becoming a millionaire.
Yeah.
And them getting you to spend $1,000 on a 2-day seminar is not for your gain.
It's not. It's not.
And that's it and that's all. Because when me and my husband host our brunch and we ask y'all for a little $50, it's not, I'm going to feed you some chicken. It ain't gonna be about just, you know what I mean? We're gonna come in fellowship. You're paying for your meal. I don't need you to pay for the appearance to see. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not TD Jakes or nobody.
Yeah, I just want y'all to understand the value of $1 and to understand the value of money and understand these tax brackets. But even to come full circle, it's very relevant in dating because, sis, you don't need your man to make $100,000 to live good. You live in Texas. You need to understand.
Texas.
You need to understand what those values are because so many times people are just parroting things that they heard somebody else say.
But if I make $125,000 and you make $125,000, we make $250,000 a year.
Right.
Life is easy. We only got one mortgage, one light bill, one telephone bill. Right. I am all for the sprinkle lifestyle. Do not get me wrong, y'all, but the numbers are not in your favor.
It's just not.
I'm just saying it from that. Empirically, it's not in your favor.
It's not.
Or it is, and y'all all dating the same man.
But
because y'all all want the same man.
Everybody wants the same man, and it's just not the math is just not mathing. And I want people to pick people and place value on things that are important to them. Like, what is really important to you, the individual, not the people who you follow, or not the people who follow you or pay attention to you, right? I just want people to focus on, because that is really where great things are born from.
The Tom and Maria situation kind of like annoyed me a bit because sometimes people just don't understand what you're saying.
Yes.
And to me, it felt more like a miscommunication than like a cultural dispute.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we need to have further conversations about this. And I just feel like they didn't. And that was kind of like, it was kind of, I think, you know, she was young though. And I keep thinking that because as a young woman, I think
she's old enough for where the onus to communicate clearly and effectively is on her, and she should have done that.
Oh, hell yeah. I really don't need to talk about Bobby and Jasmine because they're still married. Shout out to them. Love their little package, though. I loved Bobby and Jasmine's package, and I loved Benaya's and Nicole's package as well. Like, they do seem like they are really, really a good fit for one another.
I'm not bought into either one of these couples. I don't think either one of them will last.
I think Jasmine and Bobby gonna last.
Okay, well, I don't. And so I think that the whole Benaya and Nicole thing is just annoying to me. I'm just over it. I just thought that there was a lot of gaslighting going on there. Nicole is the one who went left and then ended up going and picking this other man and then now he's a vagabond and they vagabonding together. I'm really over it. I'm over it.
You know, they traveling and living their life, and I'm excited for them on that. I mean, I really wish that there was a little bit more drag into Catherine, but that's because I'm the biggest hater. But you know what I wanted to bring up, and this is what I wanted to bring up around the Demi and Catherine situation. Sometimes it is hard for white women to believe that black women are attractive to black men.
Or
black men are attracted to black women is what I'm saying.
And are more desirable than them. That was the biggest. The fact that she lost.
That's what I'm saying.
And I say lost because a lot of times I feel that these people view this as competition. I feel like a lot of these tiers are more motivated by losing than actually losing the person, especially on TV. I think more of it is motivated by embarrassment than it is actual heartbreak. And I think the fact that she lost out to Demi really
because she believes she's more desirable than Demi.
Yes.
And I think it's for more than one reason. I think it's because you know what I mean? And she didn't have to say it. I believe that. And honestly, if we keeping it 100, I think that's what Jasmine thought.
I think that's what Jasmine thought too.
I think that's what Jasmine thought. I think she's used to black men
because she was
dating
doing nasty stuff too, and I didn't like that. That's another reason why I'm.
But I don't think they friends like that no more.
They can't be, because she had to see how she handled the situation. Jasmine at one point walked up to her and told her, "You need to show me.
Yeah.
You need to show me that you're happy."
Yeah.
Who the like? Are you serious?
No. Didn't Kat tell her that, or did Jasmine?
No, Jasmine said that.
Okay.
And I never forgot it, because I thought, this woman is so pretty on the outside and she's so nasty on the inside. I just thought it was so mean-spirited to say to a girl who has not done anything to you,
or made any indication that she's in distress,
or that it was very clear that you were trying to sow dissension in her relationship. It was just so nasty. So that's why I'm not invested in her relationship and what's she doing to this other young man who need to run, because she's a villain, and it'll come out even more in his relationship. At one point she'll see it. So I'm not really invested in either one of these couples that's still left.
But you know, I love a villain. But no, I think that there's a big conversation to be had around that, because I think when I think about when hanging out with my friends, I have a diverse group of friends, and I have a specific set of friends that I think feel that way. Like, I think they think, I don't think they think I think about it, but I think they think about it. Like, I am in a place in my life where I am a married woman. So it's not even that, like, you know, you chat with people or whatever the case may be, but I don't have the same kind of need to, I don't have the same kind of desire for the male gaze. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So sometimes, even though these people are in a relationship as well, sometimes I'll be out with them and it feels like I could buy my own drinks. I'm past the point where I need a man to pay for dinners now. You know what I mean? I don't care if I'm out with my girlfriends or not. We can buy our own drinks or whatever the case may be. But I think that when I'm around this particular group, I am the black woman. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think it is like this thing of desirability that is always litigated. Mm. It's not overt. It's just in a way, like, you remember when I said, I just feel like she just want to tear your skin off and wear it. Mm-hmm. I really do believe that, like, people think that white ice is colder. Mm-hmm. I think that there is this thing with black women and I don't know if you guys have ever noticed it with your friends or whatever the case may be, because I don't think they do it intentionally. I think the world has made it so that you have to think, this poor little black girl worried that she ain't. Uh-huh. Like, girl, if I wanted to talk to men, I would talk to men. You know what I mean? But I can almost feel it sometimes, like it's palpable.
Oh, okay.
But I do think there's something to how other women and other women of color perceive beauty when it comes to black women. Mm-hmm. And Demi is mixed. You know what I mean? So it's like, even that is kind of like on the line. But she also isn't the physical.
No. She's not
standard of European beauty. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's always just fascinating. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for joining us again. We talked about a lot today. I'm your girl, Zar Conner. This is Joe Conner. I'll see you later.
Peace.
Bye.